Good evening, everybody, and to the guests on the call, a very special welcome. We thought that it would be a good thing to look at hypertension. We have had a look at diabetes in the past and a few other conditions, and how to use what we've got, an awesome opportunity to make a difference. And so I call this session Applied NeoLife. Yes, we want to apply what we've got to the common conditions that we see so that we can advise our clients, our families, our friends, and even ourselves appropriately and as truthfully as possible, because one of our values as a company is honesty and integrity in everything that we do. So, abnormally high blood pressure. The funny thing about it is that another meaning for hypertension is what I've got there in red, a state of great psychological stress. So I was asking myself, what comes first? The great psychological stress and then the blood pressure? Or is it the blood pressure that leads to great psychological stress? Whatever it is, let's have a look at it. We are on a mission to end the trend of chronic disease. And so the significance of blood pressure, let us look at what it is, first of all. Blood pressure is actually a measure of the pressure of blood on the arteries. And you'll remember that arteries, the walls of the arteries, and arteries are the vessels that carry oxygenated blood away from the heart to other parts of the body. The vessels that return blood to the heart are called veins. They have valves, and they have less tendency for pressure because arteries have a structure that has a muscle in it, actually. So it is very important to look after them well. And then blood pressure, a point we should all remember, blood pressure fluctuates throughout the day. It's never static. It fluctuates depending on perhaps what you're doing, your position, how stressed you are. We've seen that stress is a big factor there. And so those factors may cause it to rise. And I've put there in bold, it is therefore unwise to make a definite diagnosis after only one measurement. For those of you who do not know me, sorry, I should have introduced myself. My name is Esa Zanambasi. I'm a medical doctor by training. I've been a medical doctor for the past 35, going on to 36 years. And I've seen a lot of high blood pressure. I've even had a lot of high blood pressure, I believe, caused because of the circumstances and situations I've seen. So to carry on, when measuring blood pressure, it is measured with two numbers. I'm sure many of you have seen that. So traditionally, we measure it with the systolic and the diastolic number. And the systolic number is when the heart contracts, and it should be traditionally 120 or less. And then when the heart relaxes, that is diastole, that is the diastolic pressure, and it should ideally be less than 80. I remember we used to call that a textbook blood pressure, 120 over 80. Okay, and just so that you know, measurement is done in millimeters of mercury. That is the measure of blood pressure. Right, now, let us look at the concerns or why we should be concerned about high blood pressure. The higher the blood pressure, the higher the risk for heart disease, stroke, heart attacks, loss of function of important organs, such as kidneys, eyes, and loss of libido. In fact, Effects of hypertension may cause erectile dysfunction, and in females, the equivalent, and that is an early sign for people. I've put there men because I talked about erectile dysfunction, but it is what I like to refer to as the canary in a coal mine. It is an indicator that things are not well, and perhaps people should be aware of that and take corrective measures. So I have the utmost pleasure to introduce to you Kgantsho Ranyane, and she's going to talk to us about what we need to know as regards the diet. She's a dietitian and has been practicing for the past 18 years. So I'm going to stop sharing. We shall come back to this because Kgantsho would like to talk to us. Okay, go for it.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. We, as Doctor has already indicated, we'll be discussing ways of dealing or treating hypertension or high blood pressure through our diet. What happens with hypertension is that Doctor has already explained that it is the difference in pressures between the heart and the veins, the blood vessels. So if there is an issue with the diastolic and systolic pressures, you'll find that the heart ends up pumping uncomfortably. That's why some people will tell you that, it's like the heart is pumping slowly. So through the diet, we have to look at the reasons that lead to this issue of difference in pressures, things not balancing. It's like having a drain that is blocked and the water doesn't flow the way it should. So what happens is you find that one organ becomes too strained, and then there's an issue with the high blood pressure. It can be very dangerous because you don't pick it up overnight. And that's why they call it a silent killer as well. So looking at the diet, what leads to this issue is mainly sodium, which is what we call salt. Because we take in the salt into our body, and if we are hypertensive or we've got issues with high blood pressure, after taking the salt, you want to drink water. You drink water or you take whatever beverage that you are taking. Most of the time it will be water. So the salt keeps the water inside. It doesn't come out through the kidneys as urine. And there ends up being too much fluid in the body. When that happens, the heart becomes strained because then it doesn't pump at the normal rate that it should. And that's why it's called, the condition is called a high blood pressure or hypertension. So primarily it will be the salt that causes the problem. Now, when you speak to some clients, you'll find that they'll tell you, no, I don't use salt. But there are some hidden salts that we might not even pick up that we are overdoing or over-consuming through our diet. For example, if you are somebody who's always on the go and you don't prepare your food, you end up depending a lot on takeaway. And that is one of the biggest sources of salt or excessive salt intake, takeaway foods. If we recall, the last time we had a session, we were discussing diabetic guidelines, but diabetic guidelines and hypertension guidelines would more or less sort of work hand in hand, because we have to, first of all, try to eat food in their raw form if possible. We have to increase vegetable consumption. And if we are eating food in their raw form, then we are taking in enough salt through the food that we are consuming, because even in the raw form, almost everything that we are eating, even vegetables, will be having some salt component in them. The problem becomes when we take in excessively through other things like takeaway, through hidden salts such as in canned foods, tinned meats, processed meats, what else is there? And like crisps and peanuts with a lot of salt. Then we end up consuming excessively more salt than we should. Now, if this water has been retained in the body, it does not just necessarily affect the heart. If it goes for longer periods without being treated, you might find that we strain any part of the body that receives blood through the veins and the arteries, because what happens there is that the oxygen becomes less to those organs that we are talking about. It can end up affecting even your kidneys, which means that the filtering process in the kidneys becomes disturbed, and you can end up with renal failure. You can end up even with stroke, because the brain is not getting enough oxygen and nutrients because of the slow flow of blood because of high blood pressure. So now, if we look at the guidelines that we discussed the last time, we said that we also find that most of the time, foods that are high in fats will attract salts. For example, something that you fry, most of the time you won't eat something that you fry without putting salt. And most of the time you find that it's more than what the body requires. So foods that have been fried, we have to be very careful when consuming those also. Sometimes they even come in the form of using raw salt on the fried foods, which becomes even more dangerous. So when we cancel, we normally say that we must try and avoid raw salt. That's first and foremost. And clients will say to you, okay, I normally cook my salt, but you'll find that there are other things that the client is using and they are not aware that they are high in salts. Flavored salts that we use for seasoning. You'll be surprised how many people are still not aware that these flavored salts are actually a form of salt. It's just a flavored salt. Seasonings that we are using, we have to make sure that the seasoning is not high in salts. Alternatively, we can switch to herbs. I know some people are using pink salt also, but even if we are using products that are less in salt, we need to make sure that we do not overuse them, because then we are not meeting the purpose of that product. For example, they'll say there's pink salt, but if you are used to that particular taste of excessive salt, you end up putting in too much in your food. Sauces, most of the sauces will also be quite rich in salt, so we have to be careful with those as well. I don't know if there are any questions for now, but in summary, I would say, sticking to the guidelines that we had discussed, diabetic guidelines of having food in their raw form, increasing vegetable consumption, reducing fat in the cooking and in the consumption as well, and making sure that we still drink our plus minus 2 liters of water daily, then we'll be able to work around the issue of hypertension. But the other important thing is that medication, if we are on a prescribed medication, we need to make sure that we take it daily, because it serves a particular purpose in making sure that the heart continues to function normally.
Awesome. Thank you very, very much. And now I'm going to get into the gallery mode and ask if anybody would like to ask a question, or I can carry on with our solutions, the NeoLife solutions that we have, and then we can come back to the question and answer session. I think that might actually work out better. So I'm going to go back to screen share and carry on. Thank you very much, Hansel. We'll thank you again as we carry on. So What are the solutions? And just to remind all of you, and particularly the guests, we have a company called NeoLife. It's the world's leading nutrition and wellness company. And it might also be one that has longevity on its side because it's been in existence since 1958, which makes it 64 years today. So let us talk about what we aren't eating that is killing us, according to a global study, what we are not eating. And this is what we are not eating that is actually causing us. It was done in a few countries, as you see there, and they found what they were eating too much of was high sodium. As you've heard, salt is an issue. And then what they were not eating, they were really low on grain, like the US, low on fruit, low on nuts and seeds, low on omega-3, and low on vegetables. Now, the purpose of this is to highlight the need for looking at our diets carefully on sweetened beverages and high red meats and high on processed meats, exactly the places where too much salt is found. So please tell somebody that there are solutions. Tell them that whole grain, fruits and veggies, and fish are recommended by all those health organizations, including the ones that we have locally. It just so happens that this slide seems to show those in other countries. So please remember, and don't let us forget, that a commonly overlooked cause of any chronic disease in today's world of abundant, convenient, and highly processed foods is, in fact, malnutrition, which simply means that the nutrition status is poor. That's what mal means, okay? Right, and I just want to remind us what the metabolic syndrome, which we have discussed in the past, entails. It's associated with excess insulin, and it is actually a sign of it is a precursor to frank diabetes. Now look at this, high blood pressure is part of that syndrome. And that results as a result, it results from chronic inflammation. And then dangerously high levels of blood fats. And how would those happen? Again, diet. We have to watch what we are eating and what we are doing. And then other issues that are associated with management. So I would like to reintroduce a group of scientists called the Scientific Advisory Board. That's one of the unique points about our business and opportunity and company, in that they are dedicated scientists who do all the research and development of the products that we have. And they know and have told us time and again that we need to be supplementing. It's not just a luxury, it's actually a necessity. And in order to avoid situations like blood pressure, that's what we need to do. So NeoLife gives us a complete supplement programs, pyramid or structure that they advise. At the base of it should be physical activity and weight management. And then we should be eating a lot of whole grain. Now, in today's modern diet, that is virtually impossible because all the grain that is out there is processed to take out the grain oils. Otherwise, the grain would go rancid while still in storage or on the shelf of the shops. So NeoLife has this flagship product. It's actually a unique product in the industry of nutrition supplements, which gives us brain oil concentrates, which are proven to feed your cells, all the cell membranes, and they actually improve energy, enhance nutrient utilization, but most importantly as well, The lipids and sterols form the foundation of our hormones, the formation of hormones in our body. And so the next thing is carotenoid complex, the fruits and vegetables. We are supposed to be eating lots and lots of those, but we do not, for many reasons, one of which is that we just don't know. The other reason is that we don't have the time. The other reason is that it would be pretty expensive to eat the recommended amounts. So NeoLife made a unique product, and it is called a carotenoid complex, totally unique. It has been shown to enhance the body's immunity by 37% in just 20 days. That is phenomenal. I'm going to request all of you to remain on mute, please. Please mute. I can't get out of the slideshow to mute you. I wish I could. Okay, excuse me about that. Okay, then next, we need to be sure that, let me just check that I'm not muted. Okay, I'm fine. We need to be sure that we are getting good quality protein. Very, very important. It has been proven that when we get good quality protein, our hearts work better because they're protected. It is protective. It lowers the body mass index, the BMI, and also reduces total body fat. Now, NeoLife's protein shake is probably the only one on the market that will provide you with all the amino acids as they occur in nature. It is pre-digested for easy assimilation by your body, and it is a complete meal. It is totally a complete meal. It isn't just amino acids thrown together with nothing else. So it can be used as a replacement or a supplement. And then, of course, fats and sugars, we should go easy on those. However, there's one particular fat that is required called omega-3 fatty acids. Again, the NeoLife difference is that ours is totally complete. It has all 8 omega-3 molecules in the product. It is also checked for toxins, and there are absolutely no toxins. It is extracted by cold pressing, not by heat and not by solvents. Omega-3, salmon oil plus, has been shown to reduce inflammation by 68% in as short a time as 6 to 8 weeks. Now, I want you to picture this. If the insides of your blood vessels are inflamed, they will swell, they will get scarifications, we call them plaque. They will narrow the inside of the arteries. That will narrow the inside of the arteries, and the blood pressure will go up. So that is the rationale for putting these products together. We call them our core products. And then I just want to talk about the value of regular detoxification of the body. Very, very important, because yes, we do over the weeks and months pile up in our tissues some toxins, which we need to clean out. And even within the blood vessels, those toxins can pile up. So we have garlic, which is very, very good at doing that. We have Beta-Guard, which is an exceptional product. And then, of course, we have the digestive aids and the probiotic. Then let's talk about magnesium. Apart from promoting energy and muscle function and the normal psychological function, remember we said hypertension could be as a result of extreme psychological stress. It also relaxes muscles. And I pointed out that our blood vessels actually have some musculature in there. So you need it to relax the muscles. Then we have coenzyme Q10. It will support the heart. You heard Kgantsho mention the heart a few times, and the fact that blood pressure can backtrack or back up and damage the heart. So we need to look after our hearts. So I hope you can see that none of these products are luxuries. They are necessities in our modern lifestyle. I like to remind us, and I use this statement very often, when you take out the bad stuff and put in the good stuff, you create balance. Your body knows how to create health from those ingredients. And that's a point that has to always be remembered, that it's pointless leading a life of putting in the bad stuff and hoping that at the end of a lifetime or a lifestyle of that nature, a magic wand will be waved by a doctor, somebody like myself. I am a doctor, so I am at liberty to say this, and hope to fix you. And then what I have observed over the 36 years is that people want to be fixed within 2 weeks, following 30 to 40 years of a lifestyle that has led to that point. So let us all be wise, please. And so I'm showing you my basket. I love this basket of cleaning products because this is one way you're going to both reduce the toxins in your environment that lead to inflammation, that causes damage throughout your body, but also as you save money. And this is an objection that we get, that how will I ever afford those products? Well, here is the way to save the money, so that rather than spending all the money that you're currently spending on products that are causing you problems, you can start saving money so that you afford what we have. So this is the exclamation. Price of NeoLife? You say, what? You are expecting me to drink NeoLifeShake? Well, look at this price comparison. And this is for real. Some people would not even bat an eyelid to spend a can of cool drink and fries and that kind of food. But if you add the medical bills that will happen and you pay that amount for that kind of food, this is probably a conservative estimate, okay? You are going to spend so much money on yourself in the long run, in the form of medical bills. Whereas a helping of NeoLifeShake, which we've agreed is a meal in its own, can be as little as 49 Rand. Now, in dollar terms, somebody would have to help me quickly to work that one out. I thought I had. Okay, let me just quickly do it. An estimate would be about $3. About $3. You can work it out in your various currencies. So I wanted to show you that if you are to control blood pressure, you might have to make some different choices. We have packs that are available. Pro Vitality, part of the core nutrition, costs about that. And these, by the way, are customer prices. So for the distributors on the call, don't be alarmed. You can shave off about 20% of this cost to get your cost, okay? So these are customer prices. And then the core nutrition, it will cost you about 79 Rand per day, granted. The rands will be saved around your house to afford this. And if you can change your buying habits, you will change your health outcomes as well. So this is what our founder, Jerry Brassfield, the man who as a child was very, very sick, very, very sick. And it was only when the mother introduced nutrition, and in those years, it was raw nutrition. Jerry is now over 80 years old, okay? And very strong and very healthy, all right? He said that eliminating fear will free us up to take a few more steps towards our goal. So let us ask ourselves, What is our fear? Are we afraid to venture in the direction of great health because we think that it's going to cost too much? Or are we ready to make ourselves and make those around us healthier and happier? Because that's what we are about. And our vision is to end the trend of chronic disease. Thank you very much. I see we have a nice full house here, and I'm going to invite questions and a lively discussion. We've got plenty of time, so don't feel shy to ask. The only silly question is that one that is not asked. So there's no silly question. Thank you very much.